We knew the heat would be brutal once we crossed the Mexico-US border and entered the US, so our plan was to hit the mountains east of San Diego until we got acclimated back to the culture north of the border.
The journey awaits. We are waiting.
When people think of San Diego, they usually think of the beaches or Old Town or Balboa Park, and rarely do they think about the cute little mountain towns east of San Diego in the Cleveland National Forest or Palomar Mountains. We decided to head over to one of our favorite mountain towns, Julian, California. On our way, we drive the winding Highway 79 from Oakzanita to Julian, passing through Lake Kuyamaka and Kuyamaka State Park, which is huge. Lake Kuyamaka is known as the jewel of the San Diego Mountains. The dam that forms Lake Kuyamaka was completed in 1888, making it the second oldest dam in the state of California. It was created to store water that would be sent down to San Diego to support the growing city. Originally, they used a system of wood flumes. Over 800 mules and horses and 100 wagons were needed to transport the nearly 9 million feet of redwood board used on the project. Then fish were stocked in Lake Kuyamaka in 1891, but drought conditions and water usage from San Diego completely wiped out the fishery in the 1940s, around the end of World War II. The lake was desolate until the 1960s, when the Lake Kuyamaka Recreation and Park District was formed to create a more permanent infrastructure at the lake. Today, Lake Kuyamaka continues to be part of the municipal water supply system for San Diego. And yes, I probably pronounced Lake Kuyamaka 4 different ways or changed the pronunciation every time I said it. A few twists and turns later, we were in Julian. We should probably mention that Julian seems to be the apple pie capital of Southern California and possibly the USA. Before we parked, we did a quick drive all the way through town to scope out things before finding a place to park. We had never been far enough down to see the Julian Pie Company and Julian Brewery, but after seeing how many people were there, we knew we were going to have to come back here at some point. Julian has so many historic buildings and homes you could spend a full day in town wandering around. We arrived later in the day, so our plan was to check out a few of the local shops, grab some delicious apple pie before they rolled up the sidewalks at 5 p.m. Lorena and I have made it to Julian, and it's a cool little town here up in the mountains east of San Diego. We're going to check it out and see what we can find. Check out the Frary house here from 1897. Elman Phineas Frary Jr. and his bride Elizabeth assembled this small house, typical of Julian, by joining Al's miner's cabin to an abandoned one-room schoolhouse on the site of this dismantled Overland Hotel and Saloon. One of the first places we visited was the Julian Cider Mill. They have so many tasty things inside you could look around in here for an hour. You'll find honey, spices, nuts, berries, candy, and some crazy hot items as well. Here, I think we need to get some of this right here. What do you think, Lorena? Ghost pepper aioli.
No.
Might be a little bit hot for us. Lots of options. Although it was June, someone requested Feliz Navidad, and this street performer got to it.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad.
Mum's is one of the places we usually get apple pie, but we were hoping for somewhere different this trip. The stuff in the window looked awfully good, though. We had never been into the Warm Hearth before, so we wandered inside. As soon as we walked into the place, I started to think how glad I was that we live in an RV, or Lorena would have brought most of the store back with us. I must admit, it was a pretty cool shop, and they honestly had something for everyone. They had things for inside your house and outside your house. They had hats and t-shirts and socks with crazy shit written on them, and antiques and yard gnomes and hats with Bigfoot on them for some reason. But the thing I was drawn to the most were the waterfalls. These were super cool, but we definitely don't have space for one of those in the RV. We started walking out on the street again and ran into this odd thing. Does anyone remember using one of those? We hit the little town hall to see what information we could find, and there was plenty. You should definitely check it out when you're in Julian. We just walked into the town hall there, and the lady was a plethora of information. So if you get to Julian and you need some more information on the town, stop in there at town hall. They've also got all kinds of books and pamphlets and stuff like that on everything you need to know. After all that walking, it was time to get some refreshments, so we headed back up the street to the Julian Pie Company. We walked in to order, and while Lorena was waiting to get our drinks, I wandered around to check out more of the property. They had several seating areas, both inside and out. They had plenty of spots, even on a busy Sunday, which also happened to be Father's Day. Once back in the area where you order, I checked out the antique fireplace they had and a few other great finds, like this giant snake skin on the wall. They have quite a few different beers you can choose from, and if you're into soft drinks like I am, they've got some choices for you too. Our original plan was to hit Miner's Diner after the Julian Pie Company for pie. Yes, it sounded weird as I typed it, but there are many places for pie in Julian. We wound up at an old favorite called Apple Pie Alley. It is a cute little restaurant with a few places to sit inside, but we opted to sit outside because it was such a beautiful day. Lorena went for the apple crisp, and I went for the old school normal apple pie heated with whipped cream. Next was Old Julian Garage. Now this is a place where I was glad we lived in an RV as well, because I wanted to buy everything in here. They had car stuff and motorcycle stuff and manly t-shirts and hats and socks. They had kids' toys, same as man toys really, but one of the things that I really liked in here was their tiki corner. I don't know why I like tiki stuff so much, but I love the Polynesian culture, so I guess it has a lot to do with that. They also had a very cool music room with posters of Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley and Bob Dylan. They also had men's fragrances like motor oil, brake fluid, and tire smoke. How cool is that? We finished up our day by doing part of the walking tour that we had picked up on a brochure at the town hall, and we started walking down the patriotically decorated Main Street, then made our way over to the historic two-cell jail. The accommodations were about what you'd expect back in the early 1900s. It's got everything you really need. You've got a place to wash your hands and face, a place to go to the bathroom, and a place to sleep. It's definitely not something you'd want to visit too often, so it was probably a pretty decent deterrent for repeat visitors. Then we took a quick drive through the old Haven of Rest Cemetery in Julian. According to the sign out front, an association was formed in 1923 to prevent a developer from building a hotel on this plot of land and plowing over some of the pioneers' graves where they had been laying for over 50 years. Not cool, man. We hope you enjoyed spending the day with us in Julian. Come back and check out some of our future videos, and we'll see you in the next one.